Dinosaur Man.
Hello and welcome to Dinosaur Man, King of the Podcasts. I'm Andy Hughes. I'm here with Alex Hudson.
Surely it is Dinosaur versus Man.
No, I figured it worked that way better.
So we're referencing a 2-year-old film in the title of the podcast.
Exactly.
The title of this podcast will be called, what? What do you call it?
Dinosaur Man, King of the Podcasts.
Okay, so this is going to be called Dinosaur Man, King of the Podcast, this episode. Which is kind of weird. Because, number one, this implies there's a monarchy within monsters.
Yeah.
And podcasts. And,
So, yeah.
okay, so can I ask you a question?
Talk about this.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you carry on with your question first, I suppose.
So is there a royal family of podcasts? In which case, how were we born into... people who listen to this podcast may not know that we've previously done podcasts of other names.
Okay.
And they don't need to search for those because they're unlistenable. And probably, it's one of those examples where I feel like, if Kevin Hart doesn't get to host the Oscars because of a tweet he did 10 years ago, I would hate to hear this is the king of the podcast, that we were born into royal lineage.
So we are like, is it John Candy?
Oh, we're Uncle Buck. And you're thinking of John... Oh, no, sorry, not Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck is John Candy. You're thinking of King Ralph.
Yes.
Which is John Goodman.
Yes.
Where all of the royal family die in like a plane crash or like a...
It's a designated survivor situation.
Yeah, but he wasn't a designated survivor situation because he didn't know he was related to royalty.
All of the other podcasts somehow...
We are the King Ralph of podcasts.
And we got put in, established as royalty. I
feel like this is a very convenient way for you to realise the fact that you called us the king of the podcast without thinking that would require some degree of quality. Shitty monarch.
And that's what we aim to be. We aim to be shitty, if not anything else.
But King Ralph would have worked.
We would have worked.
What's our excuse then? Why haven't we? Why haven't we hit the heights of King Ralph? Does that need a re-examination?
I don't know.
Does it need a first-time examination?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it.
I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing, no. I've seen the trailer, and that kind of gives you enough of the story, I think.
Yeah.
The 90s were a very good time for a trailer maker.
Oh, yeah, it's like 90s, you put the entire film within the trailer.
It's a surprise anyone ever went to the cinema in the 90s.
You didn't have to.
Well, you did, just to see the trailers, because you couldn't see trailers anywhere else.
Exactly, and then you're like, oh, well, I know I'm going to like that film. How do you know? I've just seen it.
But, of course, trailers were on TV on Thursday nights, and that was the most expensive night.
Only Thursday nights?
Well, that was the night that you would pay the most for an advertising spot.
Why?
Because you want to get the weekend box office, right?
Oh, I see.
So you would put your trailer... Certainly in the States, it always felt like there was a good lineup of TV on a Thursday night. I thought you were going to
say, it's, Family Fortunes is on and everyone's watching that.
I mean, I get... What was on the UK in the 90s?
Thoughts.
Crossfire, the paintball game.
Scrap Heap Challenge.
That was definitely 2000s, we looked this up before. That texting thing that I was thinking about the other day.
Everyone, we have arrived today to talk about...
Do you feel like this is us arriving?
We have arrived. Much like a singer who's just released a TikTok song, we have arrived on the scene to...
What the fuck is this?
No, how they're like, oh, this person arrived because they've released a song and everyone's listened to it on TikTok.
I thought this was in specific reference to a song called Arrived.
No,
or a TikToker called Arrived.
I had no examples because I'm not on TikTok.
Well,
and I don't listen to music.
The postman who sings. I call him Fish Talk. Fish Stock, very different thing.
But we are here to talk about the Monsterverse.
And hey, there's kind of a fish connection. Because at one point there is some water involved.
And a lot of fish. And nobody says, that's a lot of fish.
Yes.
And it's the most annoying thing about it. Okay, so let's start. Right, let's go back to the beginning. So we're going to talk about the Monsterverse, which is the films that are Godzilla, King of the Monsters, hence what I said at the beginning.
Yes.
Kong Skull Island and Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yes.
Now, importantly, we are going to talk about these films in depth, which means we're going to need a ×4 spoiler klaxon. We'll do just one, but it means we're potentially going to talk spoilers for all 4 of these films. Specifically, probably Godzilla vs. Kong. Thank you, Paul Klaxon.
The thing that I want to say before we get into it is, I guess we're going to say that Godzilla 98 is officially the first of this Monsterverse in our heads.
The best one.
Not the 1930s Kong, nothing like that, but the first one is 1998. What? Because of Jimmy Page and Puff Daddy.
Biggest, right.
And Jamiroquai.
Which one of the Godzillas?
But, like, who would have thought that Jimmy Page and Puff Daddy were the people who needed to team up on a song?
So, here's a question.
Yes. Please ask me.
Here's a fight. There's Godzilla.
Jimmy Page versus King Kong. Who wins?
There's Godzilla, there's Kong, there's Mecha Godzilla. There's Jimmy Page and Puff Daddy as one tag team. And there's 98 Godzilla.
Yeah.
Who wins?
I reckon Page and Puff Daddy.
How far does 98 Godzilla get?
I think...
Because...
Okay, so I think he... Okay, let's be honest. Page and Puff Daddy, they ain't lasting.
They're squished.
But Mechagodzilla wins, obviously, because there's no way that doesn't win.
You mean if it's like one-on-ones?
I think you could probably all get Puff Daddy and fucking Jimmy Page on him as well.
Pulling out wires.
I don't think Mechagodzilla's going down to anyone.
But he does. I've seen the film.
Yeah, but I've got problems. I feel like that can't be real. This actually happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hong Kong's in danger right now.
But I can't remember enough about the 98 Godzilla to remember how tall he was. I always feel like the size of the monsters varies so much between films that, in my head, like, he's as big as the Empire State Building.
So, 98 Godzilla isn't.
Okay, so he's small.
He's a small little boy.
But he looked cool on a t-shirt.
At first, I was there like, oh yeah, he's actually quite a big boy. And then I was like, oh no, but...
That's because when you're younger, everything looks bigger, like Big Macs and Godzilla.
Then we look at Godzilla from the Monsterverse.
Sure.
He's a big mother.
Yeah. In 2014, is he smaller than he is in 2020?
I don't know. I
feel like he's must have just grown
once
by
again,
now.
His size fluctuates because I don't think he is as big when you see him climb onto a ship.
Yeah, actually, I don't think... I think he's
huge
smaller...
in Hong Kong.
You know what? I think he's smaller on the ship than the 98 Godzilla is in New York.
Okay, so, guys, welcome to a Dinosaur Man talk about a load of things sporadically and never have any real structure.
Okay,
but
we should probably structure.
Ship,
yeah.
Right, I spoke to you about this, maybe on podcast, maybe not on podcast, but last week. So when that ship was stuck in the Suez Canal...
Yeah. Oh, right, okay. I thought you were talking about the ship in Godzilla versus Kong.
I'm getting to that. So when I talked about that one in the Suez Canal, and
you said it doesn't look that big.
And I can't picture a ship that is the size of the Empire State Building, which apparently it was.
Uh-huh.
In this film, Godzilla and Kong are stood on an aircraft carrier, and I cannot fathom something being that big.
Yeah.
And in my head, that cannot exist.
Well, that was the ship that was stuck in the Suez Canal.
Well, why didn't Kong just lift it up and put it...
They were too busy fighting.
But yeah, I can't picture... and this is the problem.
Do you want me to find out how long an aircraft carrier is?
I'm size blind, I think. I can't work out... I can't do distances and I can't work out sizes. So when you show these things...
I'm sure this is a genuine medical condition, but the way you say it makes it sound... I mean, it is something you've just made up. But, it makes it sound ridiculous. But yeah.
Talking about these films.
Okay.
We'll get back to the question of can 98 Godzilla win in a fight?
We might not get back to that question. I don't know if there was much legs in that.
Is the bookend of the episode.
Okay, fine. All right, note it down for later then, if you're that committed. Okay, so this aircraft carrier.
So, the one thing that I think the Monsterverse does really well, and especially, I think... Kong Skull Island is scale.
I think Kong Skull Island and Godzilla 2014 get that
so
right.
It's Gareth Edwards who did Godzilla, and I think he really understands scale, but you said he did a film called Monsters, which was very good and very
2010.
The same.
Yeah.
And I think he understands scale, and I think some of the great shots of those two films come from the fact of we understand what big monsters look like in big spaces.
Yeah, and also comparatively, there are a lot of shots of people in relation to the monsters, which there don't really tend to be in Godzilla King of Monsters or King Kong versus Godzilla versus Kong. So that, I think you're right in terms of those first two really do well with the scale of things.
So when I get to like Godzilla versus Kong, and I see him stood in a city, and there are buildings nearby,
you need to know how big that city is.
I can't work out, and it's because of what you're saying. If I don't know how big the people are in comparison to these monsters.
Let's say around 6 foot each.
Apart from when they stood next to Kong, and Kong doesn't look that big in comparison to them, but then also kind of does at one point.
But then when's this?
This is in Godzilla versus Kong.
Okay.
Remember, he has that little machine on him at one point. He has his heart restarted. Did you forget about that?
I forgot they had a defibrillator in this,
Yeah, because remember how they have to mention earlier in the film it can power Las Vegas for a week.
Yeah, but also, like, I feel like Las Vegas requires more power than Kong's heart.
And then they go, oh, how are we going to restart his heart? I don't know, you'd need something that can maybe power Las Vegas for a week. I suppose that's like a term that they're always using. Like,
but also, like, how busy is Vegas in that week?
Well,
is it a peak season in Vegas, or is it? Well, there's no off season in Vegas. It's always
Vegas never sleeps, baby.
It's always a den of sin.
But they say it as though like it's a turn of phrase, right?
But I say it every day.
You do. You always
I log onto work. I log onto the computer at work, and I go, huh. You can tell this doesn't require enough power to power Vegas for a week.
You make yourself a coffee, and you're like, oh, I wish this coffee could power Las Vegas for a week because it'll get me through this day.
It would kill me. That coffee would kill me. I'm drinking pure electricity.
Yeah, then they defibrillate Kong and he's like, whoa.
Yeah, he turns into Tom Jones.
He's juiced. But before that...
I hope to God they've seen these films. Because the way we're discussing them doesn't make any sense.
They touch his finger and they're like, he doesn't seem that big, but he also seems big.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying
because when Kaylee Hottle puts her finger up to touch his finger, I think that's later on in the film, but it's tiny finger.
Yeah, she's got a tiny finger. Because
no, he has. She's got a giant finger. It's weird. But yeah, her finger is like minuscule. Right. And I appreciate she's a child, but that's still only like half of the size of a regular finger.
But this all comes back to the fact that I cannot fathom the size of these things.
But I don't think that Godzilla versus Kong can fathom it either, because I genuinely think they change within the film.
And like Kong doesn't look that big. And I think maybe this episode should be called...
Are you thinking you could have Kong?
This episode should maybe just be called Does Andy Understand Size?
Yeah, this is... You know what? This isn't actually... Well, I mean, it is going to be spoilers because we've already done them, but it's not going to be a review in such because all we're going to do is work out whether Andy knows how big things are. So, houses, how big do you think they are?
The leg of Kong.
I feel like...
No, surely it's... I'm looking at a house.
Then a 2-story house... I think Kong's leg is going to be at least 1.5 2-story houses. A 3-story house, if you will.
But to me, that means he's not that big.
Well, then in that... but also different.
A different shot, he's bigger.
In Kong Skull Island, I think 1.5 houses. No, that can't be right still.
One thing I did like...
He's actually much bigger than that still.
So he is bigger between Kong Skull Island and Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yes.
He is bigger.
Yeah.
Like, he grows in that time. Which he needed to kind of get to Godzilla size.
Yeah. And also it's been 50 years.
I like the fact that they grade him a little bit. Did you notice they grade his
Yeah,
hair?
I noticed.
And I thought that's really nice.
Yeah. He's old as fuck.
Yeah. But like, so when he's stood in the city though, like he's almost as big as Godzilla.
Yes.
Which is madness. Because Godzilla's huge.
I think it's Sparta. This is one of those episodes, isn't it? This is a nonsense. Yes, okay.
Godzilla is huge.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's massive.
So one of my favourite shots from Godzilla 2014.
So hang on. Is your issue that they've aged him and they've graded him up and they've made him bigger, but at the same time they've also made him too big?
Well, when he's in Hong Kong, yes.
Yeah, and then when then they've been hit by the shrink ray when they're on the aircraft carrier.
Maybe, because how can they fit
They can't both fit on the aircraft carrier. I'm telling you this now. They are different sizes in that bit.
I'm going to Google how big an aircraft carrier is to see where I stand. You ran for a couple of minutes.
What would be useful is probably find the length of an aircraft carrier, but also the width, because I think you're going to get a better example from the width of it.
What is...
But then also... Look, I don't know if... Look, I've not been to Hong Kong is the problem. So maybe I need to go to Hong Kong before I work out how big Godzilla and Kong are.
Okay, so...
Also, Hong Kong, is that why they called him King Kong?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
They wanted it so it's a bit snappy, like Hong Kong in King Kong.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that they like the fact that they share one word with him?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hong.
cool.
Yes. Okay, aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Don't care about displacement because I don't care what that means.
Okay, did you get dimensions or not?
Length.
Yeah.
1,040 feet. 317 meters. That doesn't sound that long.
That ain't that long.
This is a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier.
I don't fucking know what they were on.
Okay, what's the longest aircraft carrier in the world? That's what I want to know.
Okay,
USS Enterprise.
Yes. That's a spaceship.
It is 1,123 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be the longest. Nimitz seems to be the third longest.
Mm-hmm.
The width is... But it says overall 252 feet.
Wide.
So,
okay, fine.
How many feet is the Empire State Building? Because I think that should be our...
Well, how many feet is Kong? How many feet is Godzilla? That's what we need to know.
Well, the thing is, right.
Okay, fine. Look, there's a reason they'll never release all of these confidential bits of information about Godzilla and Kong. Is because they don't want us knowing how badly they might have mucked up.
Okay, Empire State Building... I definitely just said wrong word there.
Yes, you did. I thought it was a little nod to Yvette Fielding.
Okay, the roof height of 1,250... So, it's the size of the Empire State Building.
Okay.
That ship.
Hey,
once again...
It was in the Suez Canal. Okay. I told you.
So I'm back at point one, which is I can't fathom how long that is.
Well, it's long enough to put a Godzilla and a Kong on. And also have loads of spare room.
But yeah, so... They are...
Okay, so that's scale dealt with. Plot. Okay, so what's your issue now? I feel like we can't get... Let's not get tied down to this scale issue.
There's a problem here, guys,
okay.
Which is the monsters change size all the time. Because when you see him on a throne...
Yeah.
He looks quite big. Like,
yeah, but also it doesn't look like that big of a throne.
But also, yeah, like, I suppose... But, right, the reason why the throne
Very
scale...
aggressive point.
It is.
You just did a point at me that made me feel like I was in trouble.
I made sure no fingers were pointing back at me. It was just an open-handed point.
Yeah, and I guess a fist is the worst kind of point because all 5 fingers are pointing back towards you.
No. The thumb. The thumb still points.
Yeah, but you're 5 fingers. You've got 6 fingers.
Oh, okay.
A thumb and 5 fingers. Okay, come on. What is your point about the throne?
The reason the throne scene looks bigger is for the exact reason that you pointed out earlier, which is you can see humans for scale.
Okay.
And there are shots where you see them scaled with the kind of size of this throne.
But, like, remember how later on the spaceship they're flying is bigger than it looks in any other shot?
Yeah, because it has to like, it goes across his entire chest or something and gives his heart a start.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. When you go through the Hollow Earth...
it stretches your ship.
Yeah.
Bonkers stuff going on down there. Do you want to talk about
the Hollow Earth for a bit?
Look, okay,
so this was brought up in Kong Skull Island.
Yes.
Apparently it's where the skull crawlers were from. And then it was like pushed further in King of the Monsters where they actually go to the Hollow Earth, which looks nothing like this Hollow Earth.
Wait, do they go to the Hollow Earth?
Well, isn't that where Kong's just chilling and...
in King of the Monsters?
Ken Watanabe just delivers a nuke to it. Is that not in a Hollow Earth? Because they're like, oh, there's tubes that go connect to the Earth.
Yes. Well,
and it's a Hollow Earth.
Okay, can I bring something up about that?
Sure.
They destroyed his home.
They nuked it.
Yeah, like, if I was Godzilla, I'd be pissed as all hell at Ken Watanabe.
Why do you think at the end he's glowing red?
Well, okay, so, yeah, I think you're right in that they go through... Yeah, I guess that they go through the wormhole or whatever they call it. Because don't they say they've travelled 900 miles in like 5 seconds or something? And then you're like, okay, and then you're in a different underwater place. But also, maybe this is just the underwater bit of the hollow. Okay, so here's the thing. The hollow Earth, as far as I can tell, is just like, okay... So I think I've got massive problems with this.
Guys, the Earth is hollow. We need to get on board with this very quickly.
Yeah, so if they're saying to us that we're essentially an Easter egg, okay, and we live on the outside, we live on the foil coating of the Easter egg, right?
Yeah.
But the hollow Earth is everything underneath the layer of chocolate, right? Mm-hmm. So it's more hollow than it is Earth.
That's why it's the hollow Earth.
Yeah, that's why it's not called the Earth hollow. Hollow takes precedence because there is more of it. Okay. So, my issue is, I guess you can have different, and we can see from the depiction of Hollow Earth in Godzilla vs. Kong, that there are various different microclimates that affect this place. Also, not mad about the fact that we're apparently, like, these monsters get their power from the radiation, the insane radiation that's at the heart of the Hollow Earth, and yet everyone's taken off their helmets again. Like, what the fuck?
Why won't people ever keep their helmets on? Like, the thing is, it's key that is continued through all 4 films. Mm-hmm. It's the only
thing that all 4 films agree on, is that people should take off their helmets before they know it's safe.
Like, they always do it, like... It's just like, here's Bryan Cranston taking off his thing.
So, okay, so I think, yes, you can have microclimates, so therefore you're probably going to have an underwater... It's okay, the way I see Hollow Earth is it's a bit like a Mario game. Mm-hmm. There's an underwater level, there's a bit where you jump on a Koopa Trooper.
And there's a giant lizard that he's trying to
And there's a giant lizard who's stolen your wife. But...
That would be an interesting way to go, wouldn't it? If Kong had stolen Princess Peach.
Okay.
Godzilla had stolen Princess Peach, sorry.
Well, Kong did it before Bowser did.
True. There's an angry Italian plumber
also,
out there.
Donkey Kong, do you think he's related? To Hong Kong? Okay, so... yeah, my issue is... Other than the Mario stuff, which I can get behind, because I understand... Okay. I understand Mario, and I will fight anyone who says that I don't. He's a plumber and eats mushrooms. I know what he's about, son. But when you get to the Hollow Earth, and then there is this thing where it's like, it isn't all of that hollowness. Because it's so squished together, because you've got the upside down Earth, and then you've got the right side up Earth.
Yeah.
But it kind of insinuates that the world is flat, because there's not a bit where it curves around to go up. It's just, you have to jump really high, and then eventually the gravity will take you the other way. So the flat earthers are right, it's just there's 2 sides of the Earth.
Also, where's the sun coming from?
Yeah, what's your light source?
So what I found interesting about the Hollow Earth...
is there a hollow sun?
So
hollow sun.
Terrible, don't do this.
Oh. He never lets me have any fun anymore.
So, in Godzilla King of the Monsters, we are shown... So we know the Hollow Earth exists from Skull Island.
Yeah.
Then it's expanded in King of the Monsters, where they go, oh, here's a temple of like some kind of sunken city, and here is Kong.
In that film, I thought it was going to be Atlantis. I thought that was going to be the reveal. But no, I thought they were going to tie in Aquaman.
They were like, oh no, this is...
I would have respected it, because it is as bonkers as Aquaman. Then.
They're like, I think Bradley Whitford's like, this is the Hollow Earth, and this is where he comes to recharge.
Yeah, Dr. Brooks was right.
And then they use the nuke to kind of recharge him, right?
Yeah.
But
a lot of recharging
I get a feeling that they then just wrote the Hollow Earth into Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah.
Without having seen the previous film, and went, what if it's just like this kind of jungle kind of fantasy land?
A lot of the staff are the same people. That's what doesn't make any sense. They worked on the same films.
The Hollow Earth in the 4th film looks nothing like the Hollow Earth in the 3rd film.
It looks... I mean, look, whether or not it's a different Mario level or not, it still looks massively different, and also there's no sun underneath the water.
But what's also interesting is the Hollow Earth is close enough for Godzilla to be able to atomic breath down to it.
Yeah, but it only fills a very small point, because... Like, how weak is the Earth? And also, does his atomic breath own... Like, what does it do?
Okay, should we start talking atomic breath?
Okay, this episode is going to be retitled Godzilla... The Monsterverse makes no sense.
It's going to be called What is
the Monsterverse? Okay, yeah, so the atomic breath seems to be able to do whatever you need it to do in whatever situation.
So, I loved Godzilla 2014 because when they used the atomic breath, it was built up. It was a moment that kind of like, I love the sound, the wong, 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 like that sound of it building up.
Sure.
And then using it is really cool. And it seemed like it was like it takes time to build up to this, and it probably takes a lot out of him to use it. And then King of the Monsters, he uses it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But if you remember, he defeats Ghidorah by basically melting everything around him. By the end of Godzilla...
Does he? Where do they have their final battle?
In Boston. And he turns red and everything melts, remember?
Yeah. Okay.
He goes,
because that doesn't make sense either to me, but that's
he goes supernova. But in Godzilla vs. Kong, he's just using it willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, by the final battle...
He's always there. He's always on it.
It's always on.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like he's flipped the switch and now everything is atomic.
Yeah. They need to get a muzzle for him.
And it loses...
He opens his mouth, it's game over.
Yeah, and it doesn't have any build-up to it. It's just, like, instant. And it loses the kind of affecting grandeur of that moment.
You know what? I've got a hole in your logic. Ken Watanabe, when he recharged him, he charged him too much. And this is just left over.
Maybe.
Because that's what happened in the end of the thing. He went red and everything melted around him because of what Ken Watanabe did. Maybe this is it cooling down. So in like Godzilla vs. Kong 2 Electric Boogaloo, it'll be like he uses it twice.
So
maybe it'll go back to normal.
Well, the interesting thing is...
Because I do feel like it took a lot out of him in the first film, and now is just like, hey, this is my default attack.
And like the start of Godzilla vs. Kong, like on the ship, he uses it like once.
He uses twice. It coming out of the water or whatever.
By the time he gets to Hong Kong, and he's got King Kong in Hong Kong, he's using it all of the time. He's destroying... there's a shot, because like I said, I went back and watched just the action scenes of this film.
Yeah.
And there's a shot, and it's pretty cool, of... don't want to be that guy, but guys, this film's pretty cool. It's Kong, and he's kind of swinging through the buildings, and he's kind of like dodging through the buildings.
Yeah.
And the laser just kind of goes... vroom, vroom, just like zooming straight through, and I'm like, he's using it all the time. Like, there's no time he's just not using it.
Yeah.
And the only time he stops using it is when he basically gets hit by the axe or whatever.
Yeah.
So the atomic breath, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And that's before we even get onto the kind of what are the effects of the environment that atomic breath is being used in.
Yeah.
Because old Mr. Podcaster, great that, we have podcasters in movies. I'm glad we're doing this now.
Yeah.
We'll go on to him in a minute. But
we don't need to. The film didn't.
Well, how would you not know who it is?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how would you not know?
Yeah.
Like, how would that company not know that there is a monster podcast, that is a conspiracy theory
he's not even using, like, a code name for the company he works for. He's saying it's for, what's
Apex
it called? Apex, yeah.
Also, he's very much like, oh, yeah, I work for this company. It's like, somebody in that company would know who that is. If he's got that many thousands of listeners...
Yeah.
Also, when he goes, I'm going to steal information, you as a company would be very locked down to the fact that your information is going to be stolen today. You wouldn't just let him go and annoy somebody until they go to the toilet.
But in fairness, he might not have published that episode yet. It might be...
No, he had. Because Millie Bobby Brown was listening to it.
But maybe he published that afterwards, though.
No, because he has to have published it first, because in the episode he says, you may not hear from me again, but today I'm going to do this. So he has to have published that with the thought process of, I might not survive this trip.
Oh, he scheduled it for tomorrow. Like we sometimes do, if we've pre-recorded.
So, like, as a company, it's fair, that whole company's security staff
also, like,
is absent anyway.
Oh,
like, how do they get into a pod that goes straight to Hong Kong? Nobody checks it before it goes, nobody checks it after it arrives.
Yeah. But that's just because there's eggs in it. No one's going to check eggs.
Surely you would. Surely as a company, you check...
What if the Skullcrawlers hatch early?
What if you forgot to put the eggs in and you've just transported an empty carcass?
It's fine. Everything runs on, I think, electric hydropower or something.
I don't know. There's some kind of
anti-grav power.
There's some kind of tunnel that takes you from
the Hollow Earth to the Hollow Earth.
But yeah, you would know that guy. You'd know who that guy is, right?
Yeah.
But the point I was going to say before I got sidetracked by the fact that they would know who he is, without a doubt, is there's a point where two people stop him and they're like, "Hey, you're not supposed to be back here," and they pull the guns on him. They get atomic breath through the wall.
Yeah.
He is stood next to where that is, so he falls over, which means that he came quite close to it.
Yeah.
Doesn't grow any extra fingers.
It means that he's stronger than Kong.
Godzilla versus Kong versus
Tyree Henry.
Podcaster.
Yeah.
Podcasters are the strongest people on Earth.
Not true.
I am strong.
Undoubtedly, mostly weaklings. Joe Rogan's doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Literally.
So yeah, I mean, look, no one ever really explains how we as a world are so accustomed to atomic breath by this point. But maybe that's the problem, is that overexposure to atomic breath, as we have been for 5-6 years now, means that we're immune. We're immune to atomic breath, but the world isn't.
I don't think that's the case.
No, I don't think so either, but I'm trying to find excuses for them.
So the interesting thing is...
Yes.
They talk about it in King of Monsters.
Yes.
That, like, wherever these monsters go, they leave a radiation behind them that then stuff grows out. Because obviously what they wanted to do was San Francisco grew into this kind of, like, flowery paradise after Godzilla because they wanted Godzilla to kind of terraform the Earth into kind of resetting it. But that doesn't seem to be the case, like, anymore.
No.
Because they're just radioactive. Like, is Boston just a radioactive kind of pit now?
Well, I think that the villains of each of the movies don't speak to the villains of the other movies because they don't let them know what their plans were. And also...
I suppose that makes sense. Like, if you were planning something bad, you wouldn't know if somebody, you know, in Korea is planning something bad.
Let me ask this question, right? So the King Ghidorah head that Charles Dance buys at the end of Godzilla King of Monsters then ends up with Damien Bashir's company in Hong Kong. Or you think this is a different one?
I think those heads are potentially the ones from Boston.
So what, you think Charles Dance is coming back?
There's nothing to say he isn't.
Oh, God. You might be right.
But no, I mean, like...
I think you're also now trying to find them a lot of excuses. Okay, because that was one of my questions, was going to be like, what does this eco-terrorist who wants to terraform the world, why does he now also want to build a gigantic metal Godzilla to protect the world from Godzillas?
I don't know if he's part of that company, or is he?
Well,
I don't know, because I heard somebody
he can't be, can he?
And I don't know how true this is.
If you're saying this is one of the Godzilla Ghidorah heads from... Also, no!
I'm not going to Google anything here, okay? Even though I've already spent some time Googling...
Does he not melt Ghidorah?
Mostly.
But not their heads.
He does hold one of its heads at one point, because he blasts through the head, and it's a pretty cool shot.
Okay.
Guys, I'm just out here saying, actually, some of this stuff is pretty cool.
But you also remember that in this film, Mechagodzilla is controlled by the ghost of Ghidorah. Because it's like the link between the pilot and the Ghidorah head doesn't work. So we're led to believe that the bones of Ghidorah have some kind of memory in them that just wants to smash
Space
cities.
Monster. It's from space. We don't know how it works.
True. It is the greatest science fiction get out of jail free card.
The point I was going to make was because I don't know. I'm not going to Google it, because I can't.
No, I think we should have banned Google from this.
We had to know how big an aircraft carrier was.
We didn't.
Still don't get it. But I think I heard this, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but the eco-terrorist group that Charles Dance belongs to is also Apex, who are this group who are protecting the world. And because
they have different objectives.
Yeah, but somebody said it, and I was like, how did they become from that to that in 5 years? And the answer is, I don't know. But also, it would explain how they got the head.
But you're saying it's a different head.
Maybe. Maybe, who knows?
I think it's still stupid that a ghost of Ghidorah manages to control Mechagodzilla.
So Apex's job is they want to protect the world.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, the best way we could do this is building a Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is an answer.
Yeah, I'm not doubting their logic.
Like, you got Titans.
I'm doubting that they are going for the same end game as the eco-terrorists were.
And they're doing it in, like, behind the scenes. They're like, oh, we're going to build this Mechagodzilla behind the scenes. Like, surely, like, as a world council, you kind of would have had this thing, like, guys, we need a way to kind of stop Godzilla. Because, you know, these things... Yeah. He's already killed all of the other Titans,
So you think the UN should have got involved?
Yeah, and not just leave it to Apex.
Yeah. But this might be a world where the UN doesn't exist.
Maybe they were atomic breathed. There's every chance that one of them were in
Maybe it's an alternate timeline where they were never set up.
Wow.
And this is an entirely different world, in which case it explains how people can live in radiation.
My question is, do you believe in the goals? Like, are you on the side of Apex? Yeah.
It's difficult because Godzilla, in certain bits of the film, is portrayed as a hero. Certain bits of the film is portrayed as a villain.
There's one point where he grins like a shit-eating grin at the camera.
And laughs at the camera.
And it's amazing. Yeah. Guys, I'm just out here saying, that was really cool.
I'm out here thinking, that was one of the stupidest things I've seen this year.
There's a bit, right, in the film where Mechagodzilla grabs Godzilla by the neck and smashes him into 3 buildings consecutively.
Yeah.
And it's like... And then the third one is like towards camera. So funny. Love it.
Yeah, and we all saw that coming because you can see out the window that he's doing it in the other buildings. You're like, this building looks suspiciously as high as those buildings.
You know, you've already seen the people run out of the building. You're like, hold on a second. Why are you still in the building?
Oh, but like, if you were to tell me that if you remove Mechagodzilla from this, who, remember, isn't actually Apex's Mechagodzilla, it's the ghost of Ghidorah.
Yeah.
If you were to remove him from the equation and say, right, it's Godzilla versus Kong, Kong's the goodie. Because he's just...
He also loses.
Well, yeah, of course. He's bad. Kong.
And he's fighting Godzilla.
Yeah, like, he's more affected by atomic breath than anything is. Yeah, I mean, I would say that Godzilla needs to be kept in check. Give him a Sokovia Accord.
So, you are...
Give him a thing to sign that says, I will be a good Avenger.
You are a citizen of this world, right?
Yeah.
And I know...
Important citizen?
No, you are bodega manager Alex Hudson.
Okay.
You work in a bodega in Hong Kong, right?
Okay.
And I, as the Apex representative, comes to your building. I'm like, hey, man, just in case ever Godzilla decides to come to Hong Kong and start stamping this place.
Yeah. Right? Why would he come here?
Oh, no reason.
Would it be because there's an energy signature?
Look, I'm just from Apex. What do I know?
Could you maybe build your super secret robot in the middle of the ocean instead?
Why? When I could have him burst out of a mountainside in Hong Kong?
Good question. Less human death.
Sorry, bodega manager. Are you not thinking about aesthetics of monsters?
I saw you arrive and I saw you building your super secret underground base.
How do they build all of this stuff in secret?
They've got the Hollow Earth.
True, Hollow Mountains as well. But, so I'm there like... So,
yes.
Mr. Bodega Manager, are you cool if Godzilla attacks...
Almost definitely not.
We use a Godzilla-sized...
So there'll be 2 things the size of Godzilla?
In Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong. In the city I operate this bodega.
Yes. But we use our metal one, which we can
control. Oh, metal, so he makes more damage. Okay.
But we can control what he does.
Heavier than regular.
To stop Godzilla. How do you feel about that?
How is he controlled, this metal Godzilla?
Oh, that's a company secret and definitely not mind control.
Okay, what if it was a ghost?
Why would it be a ghost? Who told you about the ghosts?
I would not want that, obviously.
Okay, fine. What's your plan to deal with Godzilla?
Build your stupid robot in the middle of the ocean. Better still, tempt him to the Hollow Earth and then seal that shit up.
But he's having a great time out here.
Yeah, that's the problem. Millions of people probably have died.
We couldn't get to the Hollow Earth.
Oh, but like, no one can live in Boston anymore, which, if you ask certain people, is a good thing. But if no one can live in Boston anymore, no one can live in San Francisco anymore. Like, all this terraforming they're doing, fine for a bit, but also it makes it uninhabitable.
Okay. Millions are dying each time. Like, if you remember, DC was underwater at one point in King of the Monsters. Like, the water covered the Capitol building.
I think a lot of what happened in King of the Monsters was swept under the rug as being, oh, it's all fine now, because some years have passed.
It was all swept away in a title screen.
But also, not that many years have passed.
5.
No, I thought it was 5 between Godzilla and Godzilla King of Monsters. Or is this another 5 years on?
I don't know. For some reason I feel 5, but you might be right.
It's a real Noah and the whale situation. 5 years' time.
You're an idiot. So, also...
I'm not an idiot. I remember an indie band from 2008.
A couple of weeks later.
Yeah. A couple of weeks later,
knock at your door again.
Yeah.
And then I've got some crisps in my hand, like, I'm just...
Oh, you're the guy from wherever the fuck.
Fancy seeing you
Apex Predators.
Just come here to buy some crisps. Just a quick question.
Uh-huh.
Are you adverse if we knock down half of your shop to build what we're going to call, ostensibly, monster shelters?
What's the monster shelter?
Basically, if monsters attacked Hong Kong for whatever reason...
Do you think they're going to attack us?
No.
Should I move?
Why would they?
I'll move if I need to.
Are you happy if we build a monster shelter here to keep you safe?
Look, I rent. I don't have any mortgage here. I've got nothing tying me down. If I need to move, tell me I need to move.
Just wave it in some people.
Should I go inland?
I don't know whether that helps.
Yeah, I suppose in the first Godzilla movie, they definitely destroyed a lot of the center of the country as well. Powered Las Vegas, and they were in Las Vegas. Oh, it doesn't need that much power anymore.
We've solved that.
Yeah, I would fucking move.
It's a citizen. As soon as you start seeing, they're building.
As soon as I start seeing helicopters flying in super secret building materials, I'm like, I think something's like in a world where Godzilla exists.
When you hear about Apex, this company that are like, we need to stop Godzilla somehow, and then suddenly go, we set up headquarters in your city. You go, this is not my city anymore. My city is wherever you want.
Yeah. I mean, we've spoken about this on the pod, I feel like, that people are really blasé about there being monster attacks.
You got very annoyed in, the first Godzilla.
Yeah.
That, nobody cared there was a Godzilla. They ran away, but nobody seemed that bothered.
Particularly because it's the first time we've seen a Godzilla. Mm-hmm. Or the first time in 50 years or whatever that we'd seen a Godzilla. And they're all kind of running around San Francisco just going, oh, okay. But they look at the monsters and they're just like, whatever. They're running a bit,
yeah,
but they're also really calm about the fact that monsters exist and are in their city. But then, in Hong Kong, no one tries to evacuate from the buildings they're working. As soon as you hear, you're like, okay, I've got to go home.
He gives you enough warning. He atomic breaths the ground for a good while.
Yeah, but he's already there by that point, isn't he?
But
and I feel like he's already stepped on a few people.
But even at that point, why are you still at work?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
When Mechagodzilla comes out, when Kong arrives, he puts that axe out, you see people running away from the axe. Why are you still there?
Also, you wouldn't work on a bridge.
Oh, no. The monsters hate bridges.
Yeah.
That is,
Jeff. Golden Gate.
As Chadwick Boseman said in 21 Bridges and Tunnels.
Yes, yeah. That film was kind of a Godzilla prequel, if you think
he's
about it.
He was the kaiju in that film, and he's like, you've got to shut all these bridges and tunnels.
Hang on, he was the kaiju?
Yeah.
So he was being nice to them and telling them they needed to shut the bridges and tunnels because they knew he would destroy them.
Chadwick Boseman's going to destroy some bridges.
But he's there I want you to shut these down so I don't hurt anyone.
Because I will do it.
Chadwick Boseman, the most considerate kaiju.
This is why we all love Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, you know what? He was a good guy.
He was the best of us.
Yeah, 100%. Hang on, are we all kaiju then?
In our hearts.
When you say he was the best of us, do you mean he was the best of us kaiju?
We were the kaiju all along.
It isn't about who wins or loses, it's about the kaijus we made along the way.
But yeah, then when Mechagodzilla comes out, and he literally starts wailing through, Because he's immediately just like, take out this tower block, take out this tower block.
You see his like fist just emerging from the ground.
People are still running to find shelter. And I'm like,
towards him, to hug him.
They're like, he's here to save us.
Yeah.
The Apex really sold those bodega managers.
Yeah, I'm there like, oh, this is what they told me about. We're safe. Oh, hang on. He says that he's infected by ghosts.
Remember how its security system is broken by pouring...
Okay, so here's the thing that I had during the film.
Yeah.
Was I went, someone's going to spill a cup of coffee on it or something, and it'll fritz out.
It's all fine.
No. I was like, this is how it will go wrong. Is that like oh no, that's it, because it's already gone wrong by that point. They're trying to fix it. That's it. Sorry. No, because I remember when they were trying to hack into the system, I just went, are they just going to pour a cup of coffee on it? And then Chekhov's fucking whiskey comes into effect and gets poured on. I feel like it doesn't work like that. I don't know for sure.
I don't know why, but in my head, that doesn't work. Like,
because what happens?
Well, I don't know. Like, the thing is, the question is, are ghosts affected by whiskey?
Oh yeah, I suppose you could get a ghost drunk.
Because these ghosts, don't forget, this is powered by ghosts now.
Yeah, but what?
Like, the whole thing is powered by ghosts.
It's difficult to. So Mechagodzilla isn't attached to anything at that point.
He's attached in mind to the skull of...
Sure, ghosts aside. But, like, there are no physical attachments between the underground base and Mechagodzilla.
No.
Right?
It's powered by satellites or something.
Well, he's got the tummy. He's got the power thing in his tummy, I think.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's in his mouth. And it's a...
Remember how they upload an energy source?
Not only do they upload it, they email it.
How does that work?
Yeah, and how does email work in the Hollow Earth?
How do you email...
Where's your server?
I get the fact that, like...
Which cell phone provider are you with that has coverage in the Hollow Earth?
I get the fact we are saying technology is advanced in these times. But no way can you email an energy source. Like, that will power your... How many Vegases do you think Mechagodzilla
I just got to email this power signature to you. What's your AOL?
Yeah, Liza Gonzalez is there literally just to email it and then die.
Yeah.
What I like about that death...
And say that it has enough power to power New York for a week or something? I don't know. Sorry, Las Vegas, not New York. Famously a city that does sleep.
What I do like, though, about her death is that before she gets crushed in that ship, Kong looks inside to check if the little girl's in there.
Yes.
And he notices she's in there. He's like, oh dear, crush.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Really like
That's
that.
good. Yeah. Made sense.
Yeah.
This fucking big gorilla knew that his friend wasn't in there. Didn't care about who was in there.
No.
Bunch of henchmen just doing their jobs.
What were we saying about Mechagodzilla? So yeah, people are still running home, right?
Yes.
And I don't understand why in these films people aren't more concerned about not being where the monsters are.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you want to say here other than it doesn't make sense. But we are very much picking holes with something that was never meant to be picked holes in.
But the thing is, like, Godzilla vs. Kong is a film that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, the whole way through.
You're not going to find an argument from here.
All the way through.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Godzilla 2014 kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Skull Island makes a lot... I think Skull Island might be the best of all four.
Uh-huh.
Not only from, like, a stylistic point of view, but also, like, plot, and also, like, characters that actually you care about.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's one of the only ones that has actual human characters that I care about.
Sure.
And none of them ever come back, which is a big problem.
Apart from the fact Charles Dance is Tom Hiddleston. We all know that.
And then you get to King of Monsters, and that whole film is just an absolute kind of garbage heap. And then you get to this one, they're just kind of like, we just need to get them from one place to another. And I feel like you could have done it so much easier. But instead, you have to do all this kind of Hollow Earth stuff. And then you've got to do all the kind of Millie Bobby Browns running off after I don't know.
You don't have to.
podcast. But they feel like they have to. Like,
but you don't have to is the important thing.
And that's the interesting thing. Like this film, I feel like when it does what it's supposed to be doing,
yeah,
which is Godzilla punching Kong and being punched right back, I think it does it very well. When it deviates from that at any point, it becomes stupid.
Which is quite frequently, because they basically only have 2 punch-ups.
Exactly. And like even the Mechagodzilla stuff, like when it arrives, I'm like, okay, cool, Mechagodzilla is here. But to get it there is so stupid, and we need to rely on ghosts, that it doesn't seem to make sense.
This is a sequel to Ghost in the Shell.
It's a sequel to Ghost, because if you remember, Mechagodzilla is behind Patrick Swayze.
Making a clay pot. Yes, I do remember. He says, how on earth will we make this pot? And he says, don't worry, I will fire it in my kiln that is a mouth.
They called him Kilnmouth. That's what they called him.
Patrick Kilnmouth.
Yeah, so
that was Patrick Swayze talking, by the way, not Mechagodzilla. Okay. And then Whoopi Goldberg turns up and goes, who's this Mechagodzilla?
But yeah, and I think that's kind of like the overriding feeling I have about this film. Like, I had a lot of fun with it.
Right.
But anytime and this is the problem, like, so what we're doing now, and what we've been doing for however long we've been going,
possibly too long already, who knows,
is that as soon as you start kind of thinking about individual components of the film, you start realising that none of it holds together.
Yeah.
But
this is not, like I say, this is not a film to be dissected, is it?
No, but it's a film that could have done it better.
Yeah, 100%.
When you've got a thing which is, you just need Godzilla and Kong to meet. Have them pass in the street and just bump shoulders and just like, Kong just like, ooh.
So, yes, okay. Have them walking down the same high street.
Yeah.
Hong Kong's still going to be pissed off.
Have Godzilla just rock up at Skull Island.
Yeah.
I've solved it for you.
But then Mechagodzilla isn't there.
No, that middle of the ocean base that you've been building.
Yeah.
But you went, we don't need to destroy Hong Kong. Because we spoke to that bodega man, and he made a very good point of it being like, we can have this in the ocean. Fire him out from there.
Yeah, but they hated bodega managers, and that's why they did it.
That's why they went to take out Hong Kong.
Yeah, definitely you could have done this in a more streamlined way of just being like, okay, well, let's have Godzilla come to him. Particularly because Skull Island is a more interesting space. I mean, it cuts out the need to go into the Hollow Earth at all, which is great for me. Because that was the silly moment where I was just like, now we're in space, I guess.
How did you feel about the Truman Show, like, dome that he lives in?
Really stupid. I didn't like that one bit. Because I kind of felt like... I just kind of felt like it wasn't high enough. You know? It needs to be a bigger dome.
I like the fact that he's just, like, throwing trees.
But also it's like, we built this dome after the storm that wiped out all of the natives apart from Kaylee Hottle. It's like, okay, so you did that, but you didn't bother trying to build one when they were there. You didn't want to interfere when there were still humans there, but now that they're all gone apart from one girl, you've decided, you know what, I'll...
But also there's the thing of, they went, oh...
How are you building that?
Exactly. That's one of the things, like...
Because we know it's within a storm.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's not so tall.
And it took so long to build. But also the thing is, right... We built this dome to keep Kong in so he can't go and, you know... He hadn't gone anywhere for like 50 years.
Yeah.
At what point do you think he's going, oh, actually, I'm going to go for a little trek?
Yeah.
He's having the greatest time
of his life.
We kept
him here for observation. We built this dome. You could observe him...
How long do you think it was for Kong when they started just building domes? Like they said in Skull Island, oh, don't go in and drop explosives because you're going to upset him. What about when you've got just like a load of drills going on?
Hang on. John C. Reilly's line... You don't go and drop bombs in someone's house if you're not picking a fight. Also, don't build a giant dome over their house if you're not looking to also pick a fight. That will come into handy twice. Once with WandaVision and once with... with whatever the fuck this film is called. Godzilla vs. Kong. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
When he leaves the dome, he goes, good evening...
Yeah, and he takes his rowboat out as far as it will go, and then he meets Ed Harris.
Kong was afraid of water because water killed his father.
Ed Harris is the director of the show, isn't he?
And also Kong's dad.
Yes. But no, we know what killed Kong's dad.
Skullcrawler.
Oh, I thought it was Godzilla. Wait, no, it was Skullcrawler, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, number one, it's got Godzilla versus Kong.
Yes.
So technically, it's not false advertising because
it did false advertising. It said one will fall, but technically,
no,
Kong did
one
fall,
did die.
Had his heart started by the greatest.
I read an interview with
Kong.
Yeah, and he was like, "Ooh, it really hurt." He was really excited about his Stereophonics collaboration. Yeah, so I read an interview with Adam Wingard when he was like,
"Yeah,
but there will be a definite winner. It would be like any other Versus movie where there's not a winner, or if it's ambiguous, there will be a definite winner." It's like, yeah, sure there is, but then also it's like for instance, nothing is permanent in superhero movies, and nothing is permanent here as long as you've got anti-grav machines that can restart the heart of Las Vegas.
He actually didn't lie. If you look at the title, really tiny, it says Mecha Godzilla versus Kong, and Mecha Godzilla fell.
Yeah, true.
He was destroyed.
But like, they could always build another one.
Yeah.
So again, that's not permanent.
Interesting thing about Adam Wingard. So people said, "Oh, where's the post-credit sequence that you shot?" And he was like, "I saw the post-credit sequence, and I thought it was so good, I put it in the film." And he went, "So is there an extended cut?" And he goes, "No, you've got the cut that you're getting." It's like, so, and then people were like, "Oh, where's the?"
I think it's the scene where he spills a Coke on the
Yeah, I'm very interested
machine.
to know what the after-credit sequence is that he put into the film as an actual sequence. I like to imagine it's the one where Godzilla and Kong look at each other and they just nod sagely and then walk in opposite directions.
I actually think it's the one where the ghost skull comes to life and looks directly into the camera and goes, "I'm from the last movie." I hope that's in there.
I think it's when the bodega manager just goes, "Should have just left."
Yeah, so I mean, look, if you're looking for a film, I don't know.
Well,
I feel like this is natural wrapping up time, but I don't know.
And I imagine people would...
We've done technically a full podcast.
And I imagine if you were listening to this, I hope you have seen these films.
Yeah, and I hope you have continued listening to this episode. I mean, we've given you enough reason not to.
So the big thing
This has been scattergun, at best.
Godzilla 98 is smaller than all of them, I think. Even Mechagodzilla.
I think he's the smaller... You know what? I actually think he's smaller than a borrower.
So he doesn't have... The thing about Godzilla 98 is he doesn't have atomic breath, because if you remember, when he breathes fire in that film, it's because he roars at a car that explodes, and that fire kind of goes...
into him. And then he's like, "Get this fire out of me!"
Well, that fire kind of goes, and it's like looks like atomic breath, but it's kind of them going, we know
It's on a bridge, isn't it?
So he doesn't have that.
Poor bridges.
So I feel Kong with an axe could take Godzilla 98. Godzilla without an axe could probably take Godzilla 98.
Yeah.
Mechagodzilla could probably take... But the one thing none of them have is a Matthew Broderick on their side who turns the tables in all situations.
And is it a Hank Azaria as well?
Yes. And a John Reno.
Okay, but
so
do you
Godzilla
think
98 would win.
Do you think that human protagonists should be able to affect the outcome of these films more?
Godzilla 98 has the best human protagonists.
Because the human protagonists of this film do not affect anything other than the fact they spill Coke on a machine.
Exactly. They confuse the ghosts.
It's just so... Isn't it so frustrating when you're watching something and you think, this is going to happen, isn't it? And then it happens and you're like, why did this happen?
So... real quick rundown. I don't know if we're getting to wrapping up, but real quick rundown.
I don't know if we are.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yes.
His job is to defuse a bomb. He doesn't do it.
Yeah.
He destroys the Muto's babies.
Yeah, so that's good because no one knew about that.
No, but he did.
Yeah.
And he destroyed them all. But he doesn't. But he fails to destroy the bomb, and that still goes off. I assume off the Bay of San Francisco, and probably wipes out part of San Fran.
It should do, but it doesn't. The boat travels real fast.
Good.
Okay.
Second film. The humans do nothing in Kong Skull Island, really.
Well, they not only do they affect it, they are the reason that
they wake up the school crawlers.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're the worst part.
Yeah.
They're bad people. King of the Monsters, like, does anybody even know the humans are there?
They fly around in a big plane.
They do the thing where...
I found that so confusing.
No, they cause it all again. The humans are the cause of it all.
Yeah.
If the humans didn't exist, the monsters wouldn't have been woken up, and Ghidorah wouldn't have been pissed off.
Charles Dance causes everything.
Yeah, they wouldn't be pissed off using the machine as well.
Yeah. How are we supposed to root for Vera Farmiga, by the way? She's an awful character.
Oh, they're terrible people.
Yeah. But like by the end, you're supposed to be like, oh no, but the redemption. No. Awful.
And in this one, I don't think there are any bad humans, apart from maybe the ones... No, because even the ones who've made Mechagodzilla didn't make it in bad...
No, they actually were doing it with the best of intentions.
The ghosts were the bad.
Yeah, King Ghidorah's ghost was the worst thing about it.
But also...
He's definitely not a human protagonist.
Once again, have no effect on the plot.
No. Apart from, they spill a Coke can on her thing.
Matthew Broderick, on the other hand, recognises what a Godzilla is.
Yep. Because he saw it one time when he was a baby.
He sees all the babies. Mm-hmm. He destroys all the babies.
Yeah.
Apart from one, which hatches imprints on him, and during the Godzilla animated series is his pet.
Right.
Great animated series.
Is that really what happens?
Yeah. Okay. There's a baby Godzilla, but it grows up, but it imprints itself on Matthew Broderick, thinks it's his mom, and then he uses it to go fight kaiju around the world. It's a great It's all on YouTube. I watched it recently.
Okay.
I think that solves the question, guys, of...
That Godzilla 98 is the best.
What is the Monsterverse? Which I think is what we set out to be. Do we just call this Monsterverse what?
Monsterverse explained. As best we can.
We didn't ever get to the root cause of how big a ship is. I still can't picture it.
Well, we know it's as big as the Empire State Building, and we still don't know how big the Empire State Building is.
And I've been on that.
It's as big as the Suez Canal.
I don't know how big that is. I've seen a canal, but I don't think I've seen a Suez Canal.
Well, you have, because you've seen the pictures of the thing.
It doesn't look that big.
Yeah, well, it is. It's big.
I suppose I've just got to be closer. Maybe I'd realise. Thank you, everyone who joined us on this journey. As usual, you can find us on Facebook.
It's possible to go to 0 subscribers overnight.
Subscribe to the podcast wherever you find it. We're on Facebook, Dinosaur Man Podcast, on Twitter at DinosaurMan15. Let us know what you think of the monsters.
We're on YouTube.
On YouTube, Dinosaur Man Podcast again, and we're on Twitch at Dinosaur Man Pod. On there, we had a theme song by Johnny Neves this week.
Yeah, well, every week.
This time...
Sorry, the ghost of King Ghidorah got stuck in my throat. This time it was done by Jimmy Page and Puff Daddy.
Thank you, Alex, for being the host.
Thank you, Andy, for guiding me in this, I don't know. You know what, guys? This is what we call a real relaxed episode. This is a Dinosaur Man After Dark. Right.
We recorded this later in the day than what we normally do, and I think that may have had some effect.
Not that much later, a couple of hours
because
later.
We've been doing it normally about midday, and it's definitely not midday.
I think we've been doing it around 2 p.m.
Guys, thank you. And until next time...
I am now sleepy, though.
Until
next
Alex
time.
Is now sleeping.
No, until next time, never open a bodega in a major city.
Never watch out for King
Particularly
Kong
ones by the coast, but apparently inland is not safe either. We will see you next week. Bye, everyone. Keep safe, and don't let King Ghidorah infect your brain.
Ooh.
Die.